Hey everybody, and welcome back to BBK's Bullets. Today we are talking Black Panther. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent. Today we've got the Black Panther movie review for you, and this thing just came out on Thursday. It's had a huge weekend opening. It's projected to go over, I think, $180 million from Thursday night previews to Sunday night, and over $210 million or more over the 4-day President's Day weekend. So this is a huge movie for Marvel and a huge movie for the culture. And we're going to dive into that a little bit, but mostly I want to try and just focus on the movie itself because that's what I specialize in. I'm not sure about all that other stuff. And also, too, I don't really have the perspective needed to kind of commentary on what it means to the black culture and stuff like that because I don't have that experience. So I'll let them kind of focus on that, and let's talk about how cool this movie was. So, spoilers if you haven't seen it, like most of my movie reviews anyway, and so go out and see the movie, save this for later, and come back and then watch the review. So anyway, Black Panther. I thought it was a really good movie. I thought it was really well done. The acting was great. I loved the cast. You know, a lot of these actors I had seen before, but in little bits and pieces. I love, although that's unfair to say, I've seen Forrest Whitaker, Oscar winner for, I can't remember the movie now, but I saw that movie. He was playing the African dictator. He was great in that movie. He's been great in other roles as well. Chadwick Boseman, our star here as T'Challa, saw him in the Jackie Robinson story. I think it was 42. Great in that movie. Great movie. Harrison Ford is in that one as well. I also saw him in Get On Up, which is the James Brown biopic. He's great in that movie. That movie is a little long, but he's great in there too. So I knew that whatever he was going to bring to the table, he was going to bring it, and he certainly did. You saw that a little bit in Civil War, but you definitely got a better feel for it here, mainly because it's him in the whole movie. He did a great job. Michael B. Jordan, yeah, we saw him in the Fantastic Four thing with Josh Trank. That was terrible. You know, no offense to Michael Jordan. It wasn't his fault. He wasn't the part that was bad about it. But he was great in Creed. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. Fruitvale Station, very good there. Both those movies is where he had teamed up with Ryan Coogler before. So this is his third film with Ryan Coogler, and I'm sure they're going to continue their partnership throughout, if he hasn't already found a new kind of muse other than Michael B. Jordan, because Michael B. Jordan can't be in the Black Panther sequel based off what happened to his character, Eric Killmonger. But anyway, let's get to the whole of it. Black Panther does a great job illustrating the world of Wakanda and all the advanced technology. I was taken aback sometimes when they had the little beads and they pulled out a bead and then all these like little nanite things showed up. And instead of a hologram, it looked like there was a little mini 3D person that you could like touch or something like that. It's similar to what was going on in Man of Steel with that technology, except this was colorized. It was like, that was the black and white version. That's the, alien version of that. This is even better. This was way cool. The different things, they're like, at the very beginning, they're chasing the car sequence to get Nakia, and you have all these like little beads that are making these little models, and that's kind of like purposefully rolling along. He just picks up the beads that make a car, opens it up, and all this other stuff was really, really cool. Really, really neat to see a new type of technology introduced into the Marvel Universe that apparently all comes from vibranium. So vibranium is what this movie is kind of, it's not actually about, but it's the theme running throughout the entire thing. It's the access to vibranium that the world wants, because apparently the vibranium makes all your technology better somehow and has advanced their civilization way beyond what the modern world has. We're still running on jetliners and things like that, and as far as the Avengers go, they've got the Quinjets, and Tony Stark's kind of like the bleeding edge. Well, Tony Stark was not bleeding edge at all the entire time, apparently, because these guys are the bleeding edge of technology in the Marvel Universe. So it'll be interesting to see how that bleeds over into the rest of the Marvel U. So I thought that was very well executed. The locations were great. I thought the architecture of like the Wakandan city, which they never really named. I think in the comics it's like called the Golden City or something like that, and has a other name that I don't remember and probably can't pronounce anyway. But the architecture there was really cool. All their flying ships were neat. They had these weird dragonfly ships that were like their escort ships and stuff like that. all that was really cool. And they had total cloaking tech. I watched the Avengers earlier this morning for my Marvel, March to Infinity War, and I forgot that the helicarrier had a cloak, but it wasn't quite what the Wakandans had. It was more like here's a force field and some image projectors, and it was like reflecting from all these different cameras. It was like just everywhere. This was like a true blue cloak. This was super cool. And the fact that Wakanda was able to shield the entire nation from the entire world for thousands of years somehow, or even in the most recent years in the 50s and 60s with like holograms and stuff of just dense jungle, I thought was extraordinary and visionary to think about how a nation like this would be hidden from the world. And I was thinking too, if this nation we didn't know it was like existed at all in the Marvel universe, except for King T'Chaka being in Civil War. But they made it clear in this film that everybody's thought that this tiny nation of Wakanda apparently has been like a really poor third world country, and that's not the case at all. So I thought that was a really cool twist on how the Marvel Universe would write off Wakanda the entire time and not suspect that anything was going on there. And, outsiders wouldn't want to find Wakanda or go there because the perception is their reality, and their perception is controlled by the Wakandans, and that it's just a dirt poor third world country that you wouldn't ever want to go to. So I thought that was a really, really neat twist. And then the fact that they're like holograms, just think about this. They have such beautiful sunsets and typography, canyons and mountains and riversides, all that stuff. It's all hidden by the jungle, by the holograms. So all that stuff is never even talked about because we don't even know that exists of the landscape, much less what's there in the city and the technology and the citizens and all that stuff. I thought that was a really, really cool twist to kind of like put that icing on top of it. Just kind of explains everything away for me. I thought that was really neat. So movie starts out, you got Sterling K. Brown is in this movie a little bit. I thought that was really cool, being a big This Is Us fan, and also People versus O.J. Simpson. He's in this movie for a little bit, and I thought it was a really cool twist. I was wondering how they were going to make Killmonger. They were saying that they made his character American. In the comics, he is a Wakandan, like by birth. But here he was in the movie, he's an American coming to Wakanda to try and take the throne. So I didn't quite understand how that was going to work with all their tribal rituals, or, how does he have a claim to the throne? Is he just going to like overthrow everything and then say, I'm here now, whatever. But actually the way that they did it made it really, really cool. He's actually a cousin of King T'Challa, and his father killed T'Challa's uncle, which was Killmonger's dad, so he's like half Wakandan. So I thought that was kind of cool. Interesting little twist, and a great take on, too, like the political themes of this movie. It's not very overt, you would say. If you're a regular like Fox News watcher or whatever, or believe any of the stuff that they tell you, you're going to be able to watch this movie just fine. Okay, just go to the damn movie and enjoy it for what it is. It's not very political at all. It's more of like an insider's commentary. So if you are reading between the lines, other than what they say, you can kind of see it. But the main political theme of Black Panther, I thought anyway, was here's a nation of super enriched, super technologically enhanced black people, and why aren't they doing what they can for black people all over the world, all over their continent and other nations and stuff like that, where black people are living in poverty. And it didn't quite answer those questions, but it took a step forward. But it did kind of have that debate of, Wakanda's always been Wakanda and never anything else. And at the end of the movie, we're kind of like moving forward past that. So I thought that was an interesting take. So it'll be very interesting where they take it with the second film. However, they try to resolve that issue if they're going to explore it at all. But I thought the setup at the end of the movie for that, theme was pretty good. But in that theme, I thought it was really compelling because here you had a kid from Oakland who grew up poor, living in the projects, getting angry, and rightfully angry that his, half of his people, or half of him, belonged to this nation that was not known about and had all this access to technology and wealth and all these things. So he knew it was available and he was deprived of it. And that angered him so much that he became this crazed person and learned how to fight and learned how to take over the throne and learned how to kill and had all these scars, the scarification and stuff of all his kills. He's kind of like Victor Zsasz from the Batman villains in that way, just not as like psychopathic, but a little bit. He was pretty close. But I thought that was a really cool like motivation for him. So I think that was very, very well done. And then Michael B. Jordan he just killed it, man. He was awesome in that role. So let's talk about T'Challa. He was kind of like calm, cool, and collected the entire time. He did get angry, but Chadwick Boseman always had him playing with like this underlying of cool, very like Frank Sinatra, very like, like Dr. Dre always seems to have like this underlying of cool, at least in his interviews. And so he was very like level-headed most of the time. And that came across in his speech patterns. He did get angry, did yell and stuff like that, but most of the time he was talking in the same like calm tone of voice. And I can see how like if you're a king and you want to maintain control, you would kind of alter your voice and your speech patterns to not let very much emotion out, in order to not get a rise out of people all the time when you're talking. So I can see how that could be very direct and effective at the same time. So I thought that was pretty cool. But, unfortunately, I feel like Chadwick Boseman and T'Challa are not the emotional stars of the show. His father's already been killed at the beginning of the movie. He does get coronated, with the ritual, and then it's taken away, and then he kind of just gets it back, but it's not, and I think probably his journey is from being angry, being normal, finding out about this crime his dad committed, and that they've been ignoring everybody else in the world for these, hundreds of years, and that they should do more or could do more, and that's kind of his arc there, but it's not as emotionally rich as what Killmonger had. So there you go. Moving on, we got there's so many great characters in this movie. I thought they were all really excellent, really well done. You have Lupita Nyong'o, Oscar winner, as Nakia, and she's kind of like this Wakandan spy and ex-girlfriend of T'Challa, and he brings her in, just wants her to be there when he gets crowned king. So that was really neat. We also had Denai Guerrera. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing these names, but you know her as Michonne from The Walking Dead. She's not wearing that, dreadlock wig she's wearing on that show. She's got her shaved head, which I think is her normal look. The actress's normal preferred look is like a shaved head or whatever, or really short cropped hair. So it was cool to see her in this role. She was a great, I love this role as Okoye, I believe. And so she's kind of the head of the Dora Milaje. She's the general of the King's Guard, if you would, borrowing a term from Game of Thrones. And so it's all these fierce female warrior women, and they didn't really explain what those women were in the movie. You kind of had to go in with the idea of what they were ahead of time. I saw a lot of pieces on the internet, like prepping people for what the Dora Milaje were, but in the movie, they didn't explain to Martin Freeman, like the token white guy, what the heck was going on, who she was, what their job was, or anything like that. So maybe that'll be a thing to explore in the next film. But all in all, they were well represented. They were really cool with their spears, and like just their chants and all that stuff was really, really neat. Who else we had? Daniel Kaluuya was playing Wakabi. I didn't even catch his name that much during the film, but I thought he was going to be like a littler character than he actually ended up being. He actually had a much more sizable role. In fact, I would say all of these kind of like roles around T'Challa and Killmonger were all pretty much the same size. And that was a neat thing to see, that you could have this many supporting characters and give them this much to do, and not have anybody like starving for table scraps. They all had a really cool arc. They all had something to chew on. For him, it was like becoming not a traitor per se, but following Killmonger once he like took the throne of Wakanda, and sticking to what the ritual had said instead of T'Challa still being alive. And then later on it turned into he thought they should be doing more for the black people across the world instead of just focusing on Wakanda. And then that fight between him and Okoye, or not fight, where they just kind of had a standstill of, is this going to go on or not? Whose side are you on, kind of thing. I thought that was a really cool angle for his character. Everybody's talking about Letitia Wright playing Shuri's little sister. Just spunky little sister. Just kind of stole the show when she was on screen. Did a great job. Like I'm saying, T'Challa was great. Chadwick Boseman was great as T'Challa, except he's so cool and everybody else is even cooler because he's playing it so cool, like a Dr. Dre or a Frank Sinatra type, that everybody else kind of like is, you know, he's at this level all the time. Everybody else was like up here or down, up here or down, so that when they rose to that higher level, they were more noticeable. And I think that's a little bit unfortunate for T'Challa, but hopefully when we get to Infinity War, we get to see, you know, a bigger spotlight on him or focus on him that makes him rise up a little bit. So then we had the Tolkien white guys, as people are saying, not Token, but Tolkien, because you had Martin Freeman as Everett Ross, and you had his name's the guy who played Claw, Andy Serkis. Both those guys were in the Hobbit films as Gollum and Bilbo Baggins. So they are the Tolkien white guys, Tolkein, from The Lord of the Rings. So that was kind of funny. They did a pretty good job too, but I mean, they're not the stars of the story. So all in all, I think this film was a great Marvel movie. And it was nice to see a first movie about a Marvel character that we didn't have to really go through the origin of. We got a little primer at the very beginning about the tribes of Wakanda and the heart-shaped herb, and that was explored during the film, but we didn't see him like, it wasn't like Iron Man or Captain America where they start from nothing and then by the very, very end they're the hero. He already started out Black Panther, and I think Marvel should do this for their following solo character movies instead of like the hero's journey, similar to how Doctor Strange came out, nothing, and then Doctor Strange at the end. I like the idea of they're already the character, let's give them a big problem and have them explore it and strip them down a little bit to retain it. I think that's a cooler arc to watch instead of waiting for an hour to somebody to put on a costume. I mean, the Netflix series are doing a terrible job at putting their characters in costume or whatever. I haven't even reviewed the Punisher series, but that's a story for a different day. So all in all, I give this movie 4.5 out of 5 stars. Go check out Black Panther if you haven't already. If you've watched this and you like spoilers, great. If you liked it, see it again. Let me know what you thought of my review. Thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. And like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And I will see you guys in the funny pages.